So right now, my financial accounts are frozen by the Alberta government and Alberta Health Services. I'm being extorted for about $140,000. I just avoided prison time. I paid Alberta Health Services about $10,000 in fines last week. They just told me they want another $45,000 to let the recent court application to have me declared in contempt of court go. So, very dangerous person here. I'm going to be telling you about very dangerous things like ivermectin, fenbendazole, mebendazole, and how they're used in cancer. It's funny, the persecution of doctors has just been absolutely unbelievable. You guys have some heroes here in British Columbia, Dr. Charles Hoff, Dr. Stephen Malthouse in the house here. And it continues. It still continues. We're still being persecuted for raising concerns, for talking about harm from the vaccines, for example, which is still going on. I just testified at the National Citizens Inquiry in Edmonton a couple of days ago on kids who are vaccinated who are now getting cancer. It's starting to show up. There's not a lot of numbers yet, and it's going to be denied for years. And I'm seeing these kids. I have some of them as patients of mine already. It's happening. And that's what I was talking about the first 2 years of the pandemic. I was talking about the died suddenly phenomenon. I was talking about the turbo cancer phenomenon, people developing extremely aggressive cancers after taking the COVID-19 vaccines. And, you know, I spent 2 years talking about that. I lost my Twitter account. I was banned from Twitter by the previous Twitter management. And in the last couple of years, I've shifted focus to solutions and how can we treat some of these injuries and these conditions, because you can only talk about harm so long. You know, I get it. Everyone's tired of it, and I think everyone gets it by now. These jabs have been absolutely destructive. Everyone knows someone who's had a heart attack, a stroke, blood clots, all kinds of autoimmune diseases, neurological diseases, and cancer. And there's been a huge explosion of cancer. And that's what I'm dealing with right now. Right now, I'm running the largest ivermectin cancer clinic in the world. I've got over 1,000 patients. In fact, I can't tell you how many patients I have because the college has already threatened me and said they're going to come after me every which way possible to try to stop me. They actually told me to take down the title doctor and MD from all my social media accounts. They said, we're going to come after your social media accounts. That was on February 10th. On February 14th, my Twitter account was hacked. It was taken over by hackers from Montreal. They started selling crypto coins. So there's a crypto coin of me out there somewhere. They actually hacked Dr. John Campbell at the same time because I did an interview with Dr. John Campbell about cancer and ivermectin. And we were both hacked by the same group within 2 weeks of that interview. Fortunately, that interview is still up on YouTube, and it's a great interview. I recommend you to go see it. I think he's still locked out of his account. I managed to get my Twitter account back, but the morning of the 18th, February 18th, the hackers had actually deleted 44,000 of my Twitter posts. They deleted everything about Alberta Health Services, the corruption that's going on in Alberta. They deleted all my ivermectin posts, cancer posts, and that day I managed to just get my account back. Twitter restored all of my posts, and 2 days later, I was notified that my financial accounts were frozen, and the Alberta government started raiding my financial accounts. So my Stripe account is frozen. They're raiding my accounts for over $140,000. This is going on in Canada. Like, this is going on out in the open. And I think Mark Carney was on the board of Stripe, as on the board of directors, if I'm not mistaken. So there's that connection there too. What I wanted to talk to you about tonight a little bit was repurposed drugs, and repurposed drugs specifically centering on ivermectin. Ivermectin really is kind of a miraculous drug. It really did work for COVID-19. It works for influenza, so if we ever get hit with influenza H5N1, the next pandemic, it's going to work for that. Have some in the cupboard. But it's just incredible the conditions that ivermectin works for. And I discovered a lot of this by accident. Some of it is preclinical literature. Some of it is just people sending me testimonials, things that they tried. I have patients taking ivermectin for cancer and their psoriasis cleared up, right? Their Lyme disease was cured, and the conditions, they had chronic Lyme they were suffering from Lyme arthritis for decades, and a few weeks of ivermectin and that cleared up, right? And so there's this whole body of research with repurposed drugs out there, and people are getting all kinds of incredible relief, including in cancer, including stage 4 cancer. And that's just what I'm going to talk to you briefly about tonight. So ivermectin, if we look at what is a repurposed drug, a repurposed drug is a drug that was designed for one purpose and has been discovered for work against something completely different. And now you take that drug and you just use it for something else. And so it's sort of off-label use. And if we look at just, let's say, topical ivermectin, the horse paste. Let's start just with horse paste. The ivermectin paste, ivermectin cream, is actually FDA approved for the treatment of rosacea. A lot of people don't know that, but ivermectin cream is actually FDA approved. Your dermatologist can prescribe it. Now, of course, the doctors hesitate to prescribe it, but it's a 1% ivermectin cream. You could treat rosacea. The ivermectin horse paste is actually 1.87%, so it's stronger. It's almost twice as strong. You can literally use it for any inflammatory or autoimmune skin condition. It'll treat cystic acne, which is the worst possible acne you can have, and it'll clear it completely. It'll clear eczema. Like I said, in many cases, it will clear psoriasis. But most impressive of all, it will clear skin cancers. And I now have tons of testimonials from patients who had either basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, melanoma. They started applying the horse paste twice a day. Within a couple of weeks, you see the skin lesions start changing. You can see it. Just after a couple of weeks of application, the lesion starts changing, it starts getting smaller, and after a month or two, it may fall off completely and it's gone. You can treat any skin cancer with ivermectin paste, the horse paste, the $8, $9 horse paste that you get at whatever veterinary supply. And I've had patients I had one patient, for example, who was putting ivermectin on a tongue cancer, and she could actually feel the lesion start. And it was her doctor who actually wrote to me and said, this patient, she feels her lesion shrinking, because she could feel it in her mouth, because the lesion was on the tongue. She could feel it every day. After a few weeks, the lesion actually, she could feel it shrinking. You could apply it to breast lumps, and women have reported to me breast lumps shrinking. Even benign lesions like lipomas, or all kinds of cysts, just apply the ivermectin paste and you can see these things shrinking as the ivermectin gets absorbed through the skin. So, the topical ivermectin is a wonderful thing. Get some horse paste, stock up on it, get like 10 tubes. You can literally get the 1% ivermectin cream from India Mart for $2. $2 US. I ordered 30 of them at a time just to make the shipping worth it from India. But it's an incredible thing. And you can, if you get a bunch of tubes, you could give it to your neighbors, you could give it to your loved ones. It's simple. It's simple, and the family doctors are afraid of it. They assume fetal position when you talk to them about this. Seriously. And so, now switching to oral ivermectin, certain autoimmune conditions respond to ivermectin. And the ones that I've seen, rheumatoid arthritis will respond to ivermectin. Juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. I've got juvenile rheumatoid arthritis patients. I have a ballerina, a 16-year-old ballerina who had spondylitis that responded to ivermectin. She had really trouble with movement, and this constant inflammation and so on. So when you've got inflammatory conditions, think ivermectin, low dose, 12 milligrams, 24 milligrams, and it may respond. Another area that very few people know about is ivermectin has effect on neurological conditions, and the ones that I've had the most success with have been Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. And again, it's a very simple thing. I discovered it by accident. There was a mouse model of sort of Parkinsonism, and for Alzheimer's, you can't even find the research because it's been scrubbed from Google. So there's a study that was done, a preclinical study on ivermectin and Alzheimer's, where the researchers concluded that ivermectin has an effect on Alzheimer's and should be studied. It's been scrubbed from Google. If you go on DuckDuckGo, you can actually get the abstract of that study. But in Google, it's completely scrubbed. You just see the titles, it was done in the Middle East, and it's nowhere to be found. You can't get a PDF of the article, nothing. Completely scrubbed. Parkinson's disease, I've used high doses of ivermectin, something like 60 milligrams, 72 milligrams, and these patients are responding. They have improvement in symptoms, improvement in movement. I have a patient who was barely mobile on maximum doses of standard treatment, who after a few weeks of high dose ivermectin started playing golf. And she hadn't been able to play golf for many years. And I've seen reversal in a number of Parkinson's disease patients. Now, Alzheimer's, this is where it gets really fascinating and really blew my mind. As patients sort of started asking me, could I use it for my 90-year-old father or mother and so on, I said, look, start with a low dose, let's see what happens, right? Because the older you are, you might have some side effects with ivermectin. There's, if you give too high of a dose to an older person, you might get a little bit of confusion, a little bit of instability on the feet. And so start with 12 milligrams. And these, the family members are trying. And some of these patients are recognizing family members after just a couple of doses. They're recognizing family members they haven't recognized in years. Their memories are coming back. So they start reminiscing. They remember things. Their cognitive ability starts to come back. Literally just 12 milligrams, 24 milligrams of ivermectin for a few days, 4 or 5 days. Just try it. And I tell people, just try. Try, report back to me. And I had one patient who was actually taken off hospice because they were doing so well. It's just incredible. And people tell me, they get this precious time back with their loved ones. And especially with someone who's, been suffering from Alzheimer's for many years, you feel like you've lost your loved one, and then suddenly they're back. You say, my grandma's back. She's got her sense of humor back. Her memories are back. And this is literally with a couple of pills of ivermectin. Safe, zero risk, and the moments that the family gets back are so precious. It's you can't buy it. It's incredible. And so I always say, give it a shot, just give it a try, just a little bit. Patients who are sort of bedridden, not responsive, suddenly the next day they're up and about, they're eating pudding. It's just unbelievable stories. And I share all these stories on Twitter. I share them on Substack, and I highly encourage you to have a look at them sometimes. So ivermectin in neurological diseases, specifically Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. But it's really the cancer is where I've been focusing a lot of my work, and most of my patients are stage 4. Unfortunately, people come to me very late. Now, when they come to me early, I'll tell you what happens. I get breast cancer patients, they'll come to me early, they come to me before surgery, and they say, look, I've got mastectomy, but it's like 3 months from now, 4 months from now, I've got a 6-centimeter tumor, I've got a 7-centimeter tumor. So I put them on ivermectin and another antiparasitic. I use 2 antiparasitics, ivermectin and fenbendazole, or ivermectin and mebendazole. Fenbendazole and mebendazole are almost identical. One is FDA approved, the other one is a dog dewormer. They are virtually identical. And so You can argue that I'm putting patients on a horse dewormer and a dog dewormer. And believe it or not, stage 4 cancers are responding to the point where I've got dozens of patients who are now cancer-free. And this is not, yeah. And these are not just, these are pancreatic cancers, these are ovarian cancers, these are cholangiocarcinomas, these are stage 4 melanomas. Like these are not easy cancers. These are difficult cancers. These are cancers that oncologists will tell you are incurable. So if you come to me early, and you've got a 7-centimeter breast tumor, and God knows when you're going to have your surgery, I put you on ivermectin, I put you on mebendazole, and 2-3 months later, and I've had this happen several times, that's why I'm sharing it with you. Patient goes for their surgery, and instead of a 7-centimeter tumor, they find a 2.5-centimeter tumor, or a 3-centimeter tumor. That tumor has shrunk by half in a matter of 2-3 months. Now, maybe if we had kept going for another 3-4 months, maybe that tumor would have cleared completely. But I can't tell patients, don't do surgery, don't do chemotherapy, don't do radiation therapy. I never tell anybody that. Get all the information you can from your oncologist, make your decision, and then you can add ivermectin to your treatment if you want. But if you come early, these tumors are shrinking. Same thing with prostate cancer. I had a patient who had, 1.5 centimeter prostate tumor, took ivermectin and fenbendazole for 5 months, did a repeat MRI scan, clear, tumor's gone. And you could see the PSA start coming down as he's taking these 2 repurposed drugs. And they're cheap, and this is the problem. Ivermectin went off patent in 1996. Fenbendazole went off patent in the early 90s. You can get generics, again, India Mart, Indian pharmacies for less than $1 a pill. Usually ivermectin you can get 10 cents a pill. Fenbendazole, mebendazole, 20 cents a pill. Now you have to get them through customs, and this is where it's a problem, especially in British Columbia, because in Richmond, BC, they are ripping apart packages like they are expecting to find gold that they can confiscate, or well, I mean, fentanyl they let through, but they are, I'm telling you, they are on patrol just looking to strike gold with that ivermectin in the package so they can confiscate it and probably take it home and use it themselves. But that's becoming a serious issue now, is that they're confiscating packages really of people who are just trying to treat, maybe they're trying to treat Parkinson's, maybe they're trying to treat cancer, and they're confiscating these packages, especially in BC. In Mississauga, they're going through. I can see it on the tracking. But here, they're on extra duty trying to confiscate these drugs, basically trying to make sure cancer patients don't have access. And it's just absolutely disgusting. Now, the thing is, the topic is blowing up. Last year, a group of us published the first paper, peer-reviewed, of using ivermectin and fenbendazole and mebendazole in cancer. We proposed protocols. It was myself, Dr. Paul Merrick, and a group of other researchers. There's more papers coming. This is blowing up. I did treat one of Mel Gibson's closest friends. I had no idea he was going to be on Joe Rogan talking about it. And so he went on and he told Joe Rogan that he had 3 friends who were stage 4 who are now cancer-free. And so he kind of brought it into the spotlight. And I think Joe Rogan's had a couple of other people on who've had similar stories of sharing stage 4 cancers that have been cleared with ivermectin and these repurposed drugs, ivermectin, fenbendazole, anti-parasitic drugs. And so the cancers that I've had really the most success with, you wouldn't believe, again, it's pancreatic, stage 4 pancreatic cancers, which are a death sentence if you ask your oncologist. And I've got a number of pancreatic cancer patients who are stage 4 who are cancer-free right now, including a 36-year-old mother of 4 who, again, didn't take high doses. They couldn't get in touch with me. Her mother-in-law knew about my work and told her, look, just start taking ivermectin, because they took out an 8-centimeter tumor. Another 8-centimeter tumor grew right back And she was switching oncologists. She went to MD Anderson, and they thought, okay, you're stage 4, you're done for, like, that's it, you've got a few months left to live. But she had been taking ivermectin for a few months, and she had completely stabilized her tumor, didn't progress, didn't shrink, but didn't progress because she wasn't using high enough doses. And the moment they gave her a little bit of chemo, the tumor just melted away, disappeared. She's cancer-free. Now, it's a chemosensitizer, ivermectin. It sensitizes the tumor to chemo. It actually reverses chemo resistance of certain cancers, which is a big problem in ovarian cancer, for example, also in pancreatic cancer as well. It's also a radiosensitizer, so it'll sensitize the tumor to radiation therapy as well. And when I put the story out, and the 36-year-old concurred with me, and she said, yes, this is what happened, and thank you, Dr. Mackes, for sharing my story. I was viciously attacked. I was pursued by an advocacy group for pancreatic cancer patients. It was a pancreatic cancer patient support group who said, you're stealing her story, you're doing damage, harm to patients. They applied to have all my articles removed. It's the only time I ever had my Substack articles removed for a media violation or a copyright violation, because I took one of the photos of her from their article. And they basically tried to shut me down. They tried to shut me up. This is a cancer patient support group. Well, they must get donations from Big Pharma because they didn't want other pancreatic cancer patients to have that information. I have 2 patients from hospice who are on hospice, sent home to die, who are cancer-free now. I have 1 patient who was offered MAID, medical assistance in dying. And I always laugh, and unfortunately, it's not a funny topic, but I always laugh and I say, well, that is the state of medical care in Canada. If you have a health problem, the one thing you can count on is, can we kill you? Can we help you to die? Right? Whether it's vaccine injury, whether it's advanced cancer, that's the state of medical care in Canada, is they will push MAID on you no matter what. And I had a patient who was, I think before the patient even saw an oncologist, they already had a discussion with someone about MAID. And she refused, came to me, went through a grueling, 5-6 months, and she's now cancer-free. From MAID to cancer-free. And so, I'll be honest with you, this is a topic that's going to keep exploding, and you don't have to forego chemo, you don't have to forego immunotherapy. You can literally add it to your chemotherapy regimen, add it to your immunotherapy regimen, add some ivermectin, just look into it, read up on it. Joe Rogan's following me now, and hope maybe I'll get on his show and blow this thing wide open. I've a number of Inner Circle members of RFK Jr.'s team I'm in touch with as well. There's about 7 states right now that I think have proposed legislation to make ivermectin over the counter. It will be made over the counter in the United States. I guarantee it. It's going to be less than a year. It's going to be available over the counter across the United States. I don't know what's going to happen in Canada. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to stay in Canada because, like I said, at the point, when you're at the point where they're threatening you with prison time and freezing and raiding your bank accounts, might be time to go. I mean, I don't want to leave Canada. I mean, I immigrated communist Czechoslovakia to come here, and I love Canada, and I don't want to leave. But I'm getting a lot of pressure put on me. So I just wanted to share some of that with you. What's been going on? If you didn't know that this is a thing, that you can actually treat stage 4 cancers. Literally, I'll tell you one last story, because I know I'm probably over time. I had a frantic couple reach out to me. It was actually friends of Dr. Mark Strozzi. Frantically reach out to me, and they said, my husband had melanoma. I think it's come back. His liver's full of it. Like, the liver's more tumor than anything else. And he's in liver failure, and the doctors told him he has 2 days to live. And I put them on sort of low to medium doses of ivermectin, fenbendazole, and mebendazole together, the doctor said, like, this is like, you've only got days to live, and we'll put you on some kind of, you know, anti-cancer medication, but it literally has 1% chance of success. And he stabilized. 2 months later, they repeated the liver scan, and I think there's only one small tumor left. And the liver has completely cleared of tumors. And the doctors told him, you have 2 or 3 days left to live in this situation. So it's never too late. It's never too late. Don't give up. There's always options. Oncologists are not allowed to give you these options. They're not permitted to offer you anything other than the chemotherapy or immunotherapy regimens that are very expensive and very profitable. And I always ask my cancer patients, can you think of one cancer treatment that your oncologist has offered that is cheap? And nobody can, because oncology is always about money. But always think outside the box, and if you do, you will always have a better chance than if you blindly follow your oncologist. Thank you very much.